What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 150. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You're joining the chat, joining the conversation, all the fun had over here. But if you can't catch live, that is A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the channel, well, the podcast, I guess. Wherever you're watching, wherever you listen, it may seem small, but leave us a review, leave us a comment, give us some feedback. Like I said, it may seem small, but it does help us grow, helps the show progress, and whether it's through that or the merch store, however you can help would be greatly appreciated, and we would love you for it. Today, obviously, flying solo. We got two topics today, so let's kick off topic number one. We're going to be talking about WWE Blood Money 2022. Crown Jewel 2022. And kind of go over the match card that happened as of recording this past Saturday, so yesterday. And what I thought of the matches and how everything went down. Let's address the big elephant in the room. Safety. Thank God everyone is safe from the event. Everybody has gotten out of there, as far as I know, and no issues were had. But leading into the event, there was news of a imminent attack on Saudi Arabia. So they reported that to the government, and security was upped and whatnot. But everything ran smoothly, as far as I know. So, and the wrestlers and stuff are all out of there, so thank God nothing went wrong there. Let's go into the event itself. So we kicked off our wrestling evening with Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I guess before I dive into that, overall I thought the pay-per-view was good. I really enjoyed some points of it and thought there were high moments, and then there was other stuff that was like, I could care less if this happens. But I did like the presentation that they had. I did like the crowd. I don't know why, but I was just really stuck in my head of the first time they went to Saudi, where it was like those couches, and it was like, it seemed like higher ups in the, not society, but community were kind of in those seats. This felt more of like, average Joe sounds weird, but like it felt more like a community and a neighborly vibe. I don't know. Like there were families there. There's a lot of kids there enjoying themselves, having a great time. So it is nice to see that, people having a good time, enjoying themselves, being entertained. That is good to see. I know there's a lot of, if you think about the situation, a whole lot of icky topics and area that you can, kind of tear this event apart. But in the sense of that, of joy and happiness and people having a good time, it's great. I'm glad they're able to do these events where they go to different places, especially where they're not, present all the time. I know it's only comparison via location, but not in any other way or situation. But obviously, like Clash of the Castle, like they do European tours, but they haven't done a European event in a long, long time. And seeing the energy from that is just another example of like, it's a good thing to see. It's a good thing to see people enjoying themselves, having a good time, that positive energy. So it's good to see that here. Like I said, I know totally different situation and circumstance, but cool to see that aspect of it. Match-wise, so we kicked off with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. So this is one of those matches I could care less. I like Bobby, but Bobby's not one of my favorites. I thought he was doing good with the U.S. Championship, and then we took the title off of him to give it to Seth, just to kind of set him up with this rivalry with Lesnar. And I'm sure my thoughts on Lesnar have been pretty clear on this podcast. I'm glad that he's not going for the world title. I'm glad he's not in that picture. So that's a plus. But I don't know. I get he's a draw. I get he's very talented. To me, it's just like, okay, we're going to see the same 5 moves. I know you could say that about Super Cena as well, and probably some other people. It's suplex, F5, do this, go rah, and, it's the same match. You've seen one Lesnar match. Most of them you've seen every every Lesnar match. So I did appreciate that we flipped it here and Lashley got to kind of hand over the ass whooping to Lesnar in this match. Unfortunately, Lesnar will take the win here. I get it. They'll set up for something later for the third match. But yeah, so Lashley laid the ass whooping. They did the spear spot through the corner barricade, which I feel like we need to stop doing that. I feel like we see that all the time now. Lashley puts on the hurt lock. Lesnar doesn't tap out, pushes off of the corner, and then uses his weight that way to get the pin because Bobby is like, oh, I gotta keep hold of this hurt lock. And we'll get to 1, 2, 3 there. And then for some reason, Lashley being the good guy, but I guess not being the good guy, attacks Lesnar afterwards. So yeah, anyways. So he looked dominant, which is good. I'm glad it wasn't just Brock coming in. You know, he got his moves in, but he didn't steamroll over Lashley, and we didn't shit on him. So, like I said, it's a build to a third. I won't care about that third, but as long as Brock's not in the world title picture or doing that shit again, then whatever. You know, I'll take it, I guess. All right, then we got one of the more positive matches of the evening. I wouldn't say the best, but maybe top 3. It would be the women's tag team match. We had Alexa Bliss and Asuka facing off against Damage Control, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. We did get a little bit of an interesting kind of pre-match interview with Asuka and Alexa Bliss, with a little bit of a tease for Bray Wyatt and Alexa kind of reuniting their alliance. Presentation-wise, was a little weird. I think it could have been better. So essentially the interview was happening with Byron Saxton interviewing the two ladies. We're going to win, blah, blah, blah. You know, they say the thing. There's a TV behind them and it flashes with the Wyatt Firefly symbol. And Alexa looking at it obviously freaks out. Kind of, you know, hidden demons, whatever you want to call it. Now at the same time, granted I could see how this is difficult to ignore, but Asuka's also looking at it like, not as spooked as Alexa, but like obviously clearly she notices it. We leave this interview and Cole immediately brings up the history with Bliss and Wyatt. So I think presentation wise, if we're following this Wyatt narrative of like making our heads spin and think, it would have been more interesting if they didn't acknowledge it. And it was like the audience kind of seeing behind the curtain, like, oh, into Alexa's psyche of like how she's haunted by this thing. And like everybody else pretend like it didn't happen or they didn't see it kind of thing. I think that would have been kind of more interesting or appealing. Because as of right now, I think the tie is Alexa. Duh, we know she did the whole, not Sister Abigail thing, but the, you know, the evil role, I guess you could say, that she played. But with Asuka also noticing it, I'm a little confused, like, was that supposed to hint that both of them are kind of part of this thing that maybe we're building to? I doubt it, but it could have been seen that way, just with Asuka noticing it. But then again, they didn't bring up Asuka on commentary, so who's to say? Anyways, could have been presented better in my opinion, but cool to see that. And we'll talk more about Wyatt later. So anyways, the tag team match that the ladies did, I thought went really, really well. Chemistry looked great. No noticeable mess ups or anything like that. It seems like they've had their rough patches prior, but kind of smoothed that out. Kai and Sky will take their titles back, which I'm happy to see. I like that these two, you know, are getting the push that they have. Little confusing that we had to do the title loss on Monday to then regain them here. But I thought the ladies did a fantastic job with their match here. It was a fun one to watch, and pretty quick on the pace. Damage Control was able to pick up the win due to Nikki Cross kind of interfering and hitting some corner finisher on Alexa Bliss. So I'm not sure if Cross is now officially part of Damage Control, or at least aligning with them, or if this was just like a one-off deal. But I guess we'll have to see as the shows continue. So Damage Control will take that one. Next match is going to be the Steel Cage match with McIntyre and Cross. This This one was okay. Apparently McIntyre had the flu, so geez, good for him to, go out there and push through. But wow. I thought the finish was interesting. I think it keeps, obviously Drew gets his win. It keeps Cross safe because he wasn't beaten. And yeah, it was kind of clever. Scarlett take out the ref, ends up locking the door, laughing at Drew. Drew just says okay and goes over the top, and then she struggles to unlock the door for Cross, and Drew's able to get to the floor before Cross can make it out of the door. It's silly. I get it. The little criticisms here and there, but I liked it. Nothing too much other to talk about than that. It was good. Just nothing super exciting. And you could probably say the same for this next tag team match. We had the OC Styles, Anderson, and Gallows versus Judgment Day of Balor, Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, it was another one that just, it happened, and it wasn't bad. Both of these matches were good. It's just, like I said, nothing memorable came out of them. We had no reveal of a female representative helping out the OC, like Raquel Gonzalez has been rumored, or some other representative. I know we're saving Edge for when Beth is better to then get their revenge on Rhea and I assume Balor at that point. But we got to play it off, give it some time, give it some space, and eventually she'll come back and do the ass whooping for Rhea. But yeah, fine here. Judgment Day will pick up the win, so they keep their momentum. Hopefully, I know Carl Anderson is the never open weight champion. Hopefully this planning of the event, or him being at the event and not being able to defend his title against Hikuleo, hopefully that's all smoothed out, from a WWE to Noah, between the two companies. Hopefully it's not causing a ruckus, causing a stir. Hopefully it's just kayfabe, where Anderson's well, I'm not going over there, and they're all upset, blah blah blah. Because that would kind of put a bad taste, at least in my mouth, that WWE is just oh, we're going to take this talent. And I mean, I guess if their contract doesn't lock them down for that, then yeah, that's how business works. But it kind of feels a little shitty just to be no, well, screw your stuff. We're going to do our thing. Especially from, I guess it just feels icky from being the Triple H era. This is the first time we've seen something like that. I could see it obviously happening with the Vince thing. We saw it with Taker and StarCast, that we had to cancel all that jazz because we felt insecure with AEW being right there. I'm sure it's happened plenty of times before, just with the recency of the new changes of power. Just, yeah, a little icky there. Hopefully it's all smoothed out. Hopefully, because, I mean, we're at least referencing other companies here. There was a lot of Bullet Club talk during the OC and Judgment Day match. So if we can have a healthy relationship, I think it's good. Obviously, we don't want only the one wrestling company. More wrestling companies will help out competition-wise and stuff like that. But if it's healthy, I think that will benefit rather than just shooting shots at each other the whole time, because then it's I don't care, just focus on your thing. I don't know. That's a whole different discussion and tangent, I guess. But hopefully the relationship is all good there. As we're seeing on a separate note, Muta and Shinsuke getting their match, so that's good. Okay, and then we get the secondary match that I was I don't give two shits about. And it's Braun Strowman and Omos. Strowman will get the pinfall win over Omos after hitting a power slam. They made Omos look strong. Had him beat up on Strowman for a while. Yeah, that's about it. Pancake, hope you're happy Strowman's back. Then we had the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. We had the Usos defending against the Brawling Brutes. Yeah, another one that was okay. It was good, but once again, nothing memorable. I don't know if it was just because I was splitting my attention between two things. Usos look great. Brawling Brutes look great. Ridge has definitely cleaned up. and gotten more comfortable in the ring, which I'm happy for. I know it's kind of, what's the term? Kind of mean for me to just focus and be like, oh, you know, the mishap with E, and being like, I can't trust you and you got to get better and blah, blah, blah. But it seems like he's doing well, especially over these past couple months. So glad to see he's kind of getting the groove of things. But all 4 guys did a great job. Potentially one of the Usos broke their wrist. I think it was Jay. It didn't seem like anything happened based on later. But if he did, hopefully it's not that big a deal. Hopefully he can heal fast, especially with the title defense coming up Friday. Ooh boy. Then I would say probably my favorite match of the night was the Raw Women's Championship, the last woman standing match. We had Bianca Belair defending against Bayley. Both ladies did a great job in this match. We had some interesting things that were done, especially dealing with the rules of the last woman standing. You know, opponents got to stay down for a 10 count. I will say the ref was counting very, very quick. I'll let that breathe a little bit, my dude. But we had some interesting things that we tried. It was a lot of, you know, obviously we try and beat up our opponent by using weapons and stuff like that, but a lot of clever tricks to try and trap the opponent and have them not be able to stand or answer that 10 count. At one point, Bayley had Bianca trapped between the ring and the ring steps, so she essentially put her in the crevice of the stairs and was beating her that way. I thought Bianca was going to be clever and go under the ring and go on the other side, but no, she was able to fight out of that. Bayley was able to put Bianca into a big container box. That was a little cheesy, but that was funny. And yeah, it was just, the ladies did a great job laying in their shots, using the weapons in a wise way. The ending was a little weird just because as an audience member you could see how like you can literally escape that, but it was another creative angle of like the escape over just sit here and wait for the 10 count. Obviously you still wait for the 10 count, but it made it a little bit more interesting and suspenseful. So Bianca, first off, Bianca misses a 450 onto the steel chairs. Bayley rolls out, and eventually Bianca's going to turn this back around in her favor. It's going to hit the KOD onto a standing chair. Now, I thought this KOD was going to hit like the seat of the chair or whatever, but no, it like kind of right on the, I guess, the spine of the chair, whatever the hell you would call that. Didn't really hit her stomach, almost kind of hit like her Bayley's leg area. And I was like, God, that looked like it could have been way, way worse. So far, I haven't heard anything happen, but geez, that looked nasty. After that KOD, Bianca was going to use the ladder, laid Bayley down in between, smushed her like a sandwich, and then pushed her over to the corner so she couldn't press up the ladder enough to kind of escape that 10 count. Now, in theory, smart. It works. In practice, this is where it gets a little cheesy. It looked like Bayley, you know, if she really wanted to and was determined, could definitely easily have pulled herself out in between the, you know, the each side of the ladder, but I get it. So Belair does retain. I'm not upset with it because Bianca's great, and I like how we're elevating her. On the other side of the coin, it is very confusing to not have Bayley win here, especially with this being, what, their third? Either second or third match against each other for this title. And to not have Bayley take it is odd. I'm not sure what the plan is. Obviously, you want this group to command damage control. You want them to make an impact. You want them to build them right up to the main event level to make them feel like viable threats and, you know, feel valid. And with the tag team stuff, it was rough even then. We had the whole tournament, and you thought, okay, damage control is going to take the tournament. They're going to win the belts there. But no, then we had the swerve of Gonzalez/Rodriguez and Aaliyah take it, and then eventually damage control would win. And you get the flip-flop of the titles here at Saudi, or at least this week. I feel like as a tag team, Io and Dakota are there now, but Bayley, as the leader, presumably, of Damage Control, hasn't really had the successes that I would feel you'd want a newer group that you need to establish, I guess, since returning. And granted, Bayley's obviously been around for a little while, so maybe that's the rationale or the thinking there is like, Bayley's been around, she's had her successes with both Raw Women's title, SmackDown Women's title, obviously tag team titles. She doesn't need it, while Kai and Sky, new to a broader audience, maybe they need it a little bit more. So if that's the reason, okay. I just feel like Damage Control, if they're wanted to make a real impact, come in, get all those titles, and then, not have to hold them forever, but at least they feel like they come in, they wreck house, they get what they want. It's a threat. Similar to a Toxic Attraction. They came in, won all the NXT belts, held them for a long time, and then from there, the slips and the cracks and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. Especially heading to Survivor Series, I thought that would have been a nice image, like all of Damage Control has the titles going against whatever is going to happen on the opposing team. And I guess we'll take a tangent here for Survivor Series. So we did get an ad for Survivor Series, I believe, twice throughout the program. And they advertised 5v5. Now, I'm not sure if this just potentially pertains to the men's side. The Bloodline, as we'll talk about some more as well, they have 5 members. They got Roman, they got both Usos, they got Solo Sikoa, and they got Sami Zayn, the Honorary Us. 5. So it could be 5v5 for the men, but if it is supposed to be 5v5 or 5v5 for the ladies, that's where I kind of scratch my head a little bit. I can get the 3 Damage Control members. If Nikki is now kind of aligning herself with them, there's your 4. You can do a 4v4 with Bianca, Asuka, Alexa, insert name here. But I'm not sure who would be Damage Control's 5th. If you do the good side is 5v5, that makes a little bit more sense if the rumors are true with Banks and Naomi coming back. Then you do those 2. You do Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca. But I don't know who Damage Control's 5th would be. Do you bring up an Alba Fire? Maybe. I mean, Bayley obviously brought up 2 NXT gals already, so maybe she's got her eye on somebody down there. To me, Fire seems to make sense, or at least seems to be the standout. I don't think a Zoe Stark would make sense because she seems to be face. Same with Nikita Lyons. Doesn't seem ready, in my opinion. So I don't know who else it could be, unless you drop Cross, and Cross just does her own thing, and then you pull up Toxic Attraction, the 3 of them, but Mandy still has the NXT belt, which isn't impossible to bring her up for that, but then obviously she's either pulling double duty or she comes up and then goes back. So I guess time will tell with that. I assumed the ladies would be 4v4. Well, I assumed all the War Games would be 4v4, but they did advertise 5v5. So let's talk about the Bloodline, because we had the Undisputed title on the line with Roman Reigns defending against Logan Paul. Good match. Whatever I may feel about Logan Paul outside of the ring, and a lot of us, he did a great job here. Unfortunately, did get injured at some point during the match, tore his MCL, ACL, and meniscus, I believe. So, oof. Hope, recovery goes well for him there. But he did fantastic and landed 2 big splashes, did a dive outside, nailed the buckshot lariat. I don't know if it was supposed to be a call out to Punk, being like, haha. But, yeah, the guys did a great job there. We did obviously get, some shenanigans with Usos coming out, beating up Logan Paul's friends, and then Jake Paul coming out and doing some jank-ass punches, and then Solo Sikoa coming out, but not getting involved. Yeah, it was interesting. The guys put on a great match. I didn't have a lot of faith that Logan would win here, But it's always that fear of like, you better not, I swear to God, do this. Which, is just, I think, not overdue, but a overbearing fear with the Vince shit of like, let's do it to make them talk, kind of thing. I mean, WCW obviously had done it in the past, as we had seen. So it's like, God, don't do that. But it didn't happen, obviously. But yeah, match was great, very entertaining, and yeah, good stuff. If we want to talk about the Bray Wyatt stuff real quick, he didn't fight, but he did come out for another promo. Now, we had talked about this on stream as of recording the previous week as we were playing some GM mode. Wyatt, I don't want to say is getting stale, but it's getting to that point where it's like, okay, we need to pull the trigger and we need to do something. For this being his fourth promo, maybe third, they're all getting very repetitive in their theming, where he comes out, he talks about, the phrasing's always slightly different, but essentially like, I'm back here, I rewrite my story, I'm not happy with how things were, I'm changed, I was out of control, blah, blah, blah. And he gets really emotional, and then he gets cut off, and he gets interrupted by these characters, this voice in presumably his head or his inner demons that he's fighting on the Tron, wherever it may be. In this instance at Crown Jewel, it was this Uncle Howie or Howdy character, essentially calling him out, being like, no, you liked being the Fiend, you liked the damage you were able to output, and like, release that again, like, you're not in control fully. So we got some flashes of some other characters. Apparently there's some girl with like some Jigsaw looking makeup on. I think just at this point, like, I enjoy it. I'm still enjoying the vignettes because it is this thing that makes you scratch your head. I like this version of storytelling, but it's getting to the point for me where I'm like, okay, once again, we need to do something. We had the tease at Extreme Rules with all the different Firefly Funhouse people, right? We had Huskus, we had Ramblin' Rabbit, we had Sister Abigail, we had the Fiend, we had the Burn Fiend, we had the Mercy the Buzzard. We had those characters. Are those characters people? We had a lot of theories going around of like, is it Grayson Waller? Is it Joe Gacy? Is it Alexa Bliss? Is it, whoever? Are those the characters behind the mask? Or are they essentially just what I was initially thinking, this kind of like showing of the progression of his past characters? But now with the introduction of this Uncle Howdy, whatever character, there's a lot of rumors that's Bo Dallas, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Is Bo just gonna wrestle with all this prosthetics on and stay this character? Which if he does, okay, fine. Or is at some point he's gonna get revealed as this character? And then for me, it's like, how do I connect the dot as an audience to be like, no, that's just your brother and not like this demon thing, messing with you? It would have made more sense to have like Bray. Okay, we got human Bray, normal Bray, inner conflict. The Fiend, the White Rabbit character, he is that. And then this evil possesses him, and he like spreads that influence onto others with the original thing. Like, he's the ringleader. Right now, he's having this fight with himself. If Bo is supposed to be him, and then they clash that way, I don't know if that interests me. I think more the ringleader idea and him pulling the strings and kind of corrupting people, I think that's a little bit more interesting. But I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. But yeah, it's reached this, not boiling point or tipping point, but it's getting to that point where the other shoe needs to drop, or else it'll be one of those situations where like you waited too long to kind of have something happen, and then all the excitement and the buzz is not there anymore. So hopefully we can figure something out with that, kind of get the ball moving a little bit faster, or have some kind of physicality or reveal of more physical entities besides just this vignette process, and have it get involved there. And especially with, okay, now we got Alexa getting teased about that again. Like, is it just because Bret is present where this demon obviously he's dealing with, it for some reason shorts out electric shit or is present, like, that ominous presence a spirit or a ghost can have, like, it's just causing chills and fear in her, but it's not actually she's going to be Sister Abigail or something different. It's just to know that it lets you know and the audience know that the presence is there. Maybe that's it. Who knows? But something needs to happen, I think, sooner rather than later in terms of that. And yeah, time will tell. So yeah, we're heading to Survivor Series next, as of recording in 20 days. I will be at the Go Home show for Raw on that Monday, so I'm excited to see what stories they are going to plan and tell for that, and see kind of the last bit of storytelling that they will have going into the pay-per-view, at least other than SmackDown. And it should be a fun time. Should be a good time. I haven't been to a Monday Night Raw in quite a few years, so yeah. Moving on to topic 2, let's talk about some upcoming video game releases. So, via GameSpot, I have the upcoming 2023 game release schedule. Obviously, we're rounding the near the end. We're going to be having Game of the Year discussions. We got, obviously, Elden Ring was in everybody's hands months and months ago. We got God of War Ragnarok coming out very, very soon. We got Cult of the Lamb, which was the indie darling surprise, and a lot of other titles that have been, making some waves in the game circles. So we got Game of the Year coming up, but I wanted to look past that for now and just kind of talk about what I'm looking forward to and what I'm excited about coming into the next year, and maybe see what else is coming out next year that I may have forgotten about, because there's a lot of games always. So as for January, there's not too much that's standing out to me. Like, obviously the new Dead Space, or the remaster Dead Space, does come out in January. And as well as Forspoken, which I will say I'm a little bit interested in Forspoken. It's kind of this like fantasy role-playing game where you take the role of this girl who was in current day, like present day, real world, and somehow gets transferred into this fantasy world and kind of has to help this civilization fight off this evil force. Graphically, it looks amazing. It did get delayed, but hopefully, that helps fix some bugs or helps them kind of polish the product that they want. So I'm excited to see how that does play out. I don't know if I'm not chomping at the bit at it, but I'm looking to see how that plays and maybe grabbing that at some point. Dead Space, I'm just happy for the people who enjoy that series. Obviously, Callisto Protocol coming out very, very soon. So hopefully this can deliver for them, similar to how the old titles did with 1, 2, and 3. As for February, one I've been interested in quite some time. I know it's a little bit shrouded in controversy just because of the initial author, but Hogwarts Legacy looks amazing. Looks awesome. Has nothing to do with Harry Potter specifically in his story, but seeing the way that the spell combat works in this game and just the amount of different scenery and monsters and whatnot that you're going to have to deal with as a student in Hogwarts and learning everything just looks so fun. Like I said, I totally get, the controversy with JK and her thoughts, which is definitely not the way to go. Development wise, they did have one developer that wasn't great either, but they released him. So I do want to still support this team. It seems like they are trying, like it's a lot of passion going into this project, and they are seemingly going against the grain of what JK said. I believe you can make a trans character in this game. So happy to see that. Everybody, do what you want to do, obviously, if you don't feel this is right, because obviously she's still going to get some royalties, blah, 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 and you don't want to support that. I get that. Personally, I'm looking forward to the experience. I'm going to play it, and I guess you can say it's a conscious move, but like, if I feel like getting this game and then making a donation to one of those causes that helps trans rights and, people in those situations, I think that will be the correct move, at least for this project. But Hogwarts Legacy coming out in February on the 10th. Excited to give that a shot. As for February, there's a lot of other stuff on here, but nothing's calling out to me specifically. March. So far, we got 6 stuff, at least based on this GameSpot article. Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I don't know if this is one I'll play, but I think I'll definitely watch. It's kind of like a Chinese based, like, not Bloodborne, but like Souls game. Looks kind of interesting. Very beautiful. Big open areas and fighting. But yeah, I think that will be one I just watch some content creators play. So interested to see how that plays out. And then RE4 Remake. I've been on the Resident Evil kick since giving RE7 a try. And that was my first entry personally of me playing Resident Evil. So from playing RE7 to going to RE2 Remake to RE3 to RE Village. Excited to jump into Resident Evil 4. I know this is where it got a little bit more action orientated, so I'm not sure how I'll like it. Obviously, I'll like it gameplay wise, but from a Resident Evil experience, it seems like I've leaned towards the spooks a little bit more, of being like, yes, this is what I want, even though I am shitting my pants while playing these. I'm excited to see where this game goes, and it looks great so far, and maybe see how they change some things and in their storytelling with the whole cult kind of story that they did have. In May, they do have Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, aka Breath of the Wild 2, coming out on the 12th. I haven't played the first one, watched a little bit of it, but I don't think I have any interest in that. And they don't have anything specifically announced for the second half of the year, but they do have like a TBA kind of section, so I'll kind of read through that, or at least scan through it and see if there's anything that stands out to me. I think Marvel's Midnight Suns comes out in February as well. I think. Don't quote me on that. I am looking forward to that. Okay, hold on. I got the internet browser up. Let's use the power of Google and be smart. When does Marvel's Midnight Suns come out? If you hear the keyboard, I do apologize. Because that one I am looking forward to, and I think I've talked about in the podcast in the past. So obviously I'm a big Marvel fan, but the gameplay is very strategic, and it is like XCOM based. So I think turn-based and tactical and stuff like that. So I'm not sure 100% if I'll like that. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched a gameplay trailer, and I've been meaning to. But I'm interested to give it a try. So as far as their site, it just says pre-order. My dude. No, I don't want the... When is it? Just tell me when it comes out. Okay, doesn't say. I think the initial release was 2022, but that might come out next year. So I am looking forward to that and giving that a try. But like I said, I should do some research first, at least gameplay-wise, see if it's fully my thing, or if it's just like, oh, it's got Marvel on it. I'll buy it. So let's see. Let's start going through their TBAs in terms of games that will be coming out. Oh, Diablo 4 is coming out. I tried 3, played that through with Super Killer Bunny and Lady in Wonderland. I personally didn't like it, and that may be because we just sped through it, but I know Lady is heavily looking forward to that and very excited. We do have the sequel to Final Fantasy VII's remake, so Rebirth, coming out. I think that's part 2, because there's that other one, Rebirth is part 2, because you got the that other spin-off game with Zack comes out soon as well. I think that one comes out in December, and then part 2 of Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out like next holiday. Obviously, that's part of my backlog is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I played through half of the game. Did really enjoy my experience with it, but then just me being dumb, I got sidetracked with, the new shiny thing that had come out at the time. So I do want to dive back into that, kind of see what all the hubbub is with the story. Obviously, people have loved Final Fantasy VII for years. Originally released on the PS1. They changed some stuff with the remaster, remake. I don't know the difference. I just know one character's thing, but it seems like there's some decent changes in there. So I'm excited to dive into that series and that game again and see where it continues in Rebirth. But I got some time for that. But we'll see how that plays out. What else do we got? Okay, Marvel's Midnight Suns they do have here. Oh, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac. Absolutely looking forward to that game. Why won't Sony show us more? Is it all this Xbox business that Jeff and I debated about, we're buying Call of Duty and Activision? They're like, we can't show anything cool because the people who we're going to court with, they'll be like, yeah, you got stuff, you're fine. Where the fuck is this PlayStation Direct? It was supposed to, or State of Play should have happened in September. I've been hearing about it like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And apparently, obviously it hasn't happened. I want more. The little teaser we got with Miles and Peter fighting it out, and then Venom in the alleyway with potentially Kraven doing the VO over that. It's just like, both games are fantastic. Miles was a little bit of a shorter experience, which I wasn't a big fan of. I wish it kind of been a little bit longer, but overall gameplay wise and the story they did tell were great. Just looking forward to more of Spider-Man and seeing what enemies, villains pop up in that experience. Obviously we know Venom, the rumor of Kraven. We'll have to see. We got some teases obviously at the end of some things. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't played it, but if you haven't played Spider-Man and Miles, get the fuck on it. So I'm excited to see where that tease goes. And very, very excited. Let's get on that, Sony. Let's show some more stuff. Moving Out 1 was fun. Why not more? I know we tried that on Extra Life, and I was a little bit grumpy just because it was early in the morning, but playing it fully rested and on my own, Moving Out was a good time. So excited to jump into that again with Moving Out 2 and have some fun trying to solve those puzzles and running around in the chaos of moving furniture and whatnot. I saw Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 could be fun. I played it here and there with 1 and 2 at friends' houses, and I enjoyed the multiplayer a hell of a lot, I'll tell you that much. Oh, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is another great one. So this is the sequel to Fallen Order. Loved Fallen Order. Loved it. Boy, is it difficult at the beginning, but once you kind of get the grasp of everything and kind of upgrade Cal Kestis and learn the ways of the Jedi, just like, bro, flying through that game. I wish that Platinum was easier. It's not even that difficult. It's just the map sucks and the navigation. But I'm very much looking forward to Jedi Survivor. You just make more of that game that was involved in Fallen Order and just give me just more of that experience. I'm all for it. Hopefully there's a way that you can keep your labor. I'm combining words here. Your lightsaber customization going into the second game, because by the end of the first one, spoiler alert, You can pretty much fully customize your lightsaber. Obviously, along the way, you can change colors, but you will progressively get from your single saber to a double saber to your dual bladed saber. You can fully customize that towards the end of the game, and I'm hoping that carries over into the next one. But just getting to that point in the game was so rewarding and just felt like a moment. A lot of fun. Very, very excited for that one. We have Street Fighter 6. Boy, howdy, do I suck at Street Fighter, but I'm excited to jump into this and learn, hopefully, how to be better at Street Fighter from, some friends like Dio, like Danny. Just go play with them. I know from the FGC, the fighting game community, they always say, practice mode. Bro, training room is so boring, and I'm not one of those people who goes in and works on combos just on the bot or on the bag or tries to figure out frame rate and all that jazz. Obviously I like getting better and I like playing the games, but for me, I think it's from a user experience, player versus player. Shout out to TJ, like him and I playing Dragon Ball Fighters, just for hours and hours, and Mortal Kombat, learning things that way. So way much more fun than the training room stuff. So learning from these guys and playing with them, I think, will be more exciting. I've talked about it with Street Fighter 5 with them, but I feel like I'm way late to the party with that because I know these guys have been playing that game for years and years and competing with it, and I feel like I'll just go in there and I'm either going to bore the shit out of them or they're going to wipe the floor with me. At least Street Fighter 6 will be a fresh experience, so looking forward to diving into that. So far, graphically, it looks amazing, and it looks like they're adding a lot of TLC back into the series. I know 5 had a bit of a rough launch, but the experiences that I've seen that they are adding to this title looks phenomenal. So excited to jump into Street Fighter 6 when that does launch. Lately, we've been talking about Gotham Knights and kind of the Arkham series. We do have Rocksteady's new title of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, coming out next year. That was actually supposed to release this year, but had some delays involved with that. Excited to try that out just because Rocksteady hasn't made anything since Arkham Knight back in 2015, 2016, I think. And I've talked about it before, but I love the Arkham games. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Suicide Squad and their IP, but I am excited to hopefully experience more of that gameplay, even if it is different characters. If it is something like maybe an Arkham Asylum, where there's all these things that I can collect to kind of learn and have the world built around me so I can learn more about these characters and become more invested, then I'm down. But overall, the story seems cool, with the Justice League getting corrupted by something, and you, as the Suicide Squad, seemingly having to take them down. From the limited gameplay that they did show off months ago at this point, did look cool, did look great, and exciting. So looking forward to see more and see where that story takes place, or how that story takes place. Oh, Plucky Squire, another indie sensation that just came out of nowhere. So it's being published by Devolver Digital, so same guys who published Inscription and Cult of the Lamb. This one looks really cool just based on art style alone. It is a 2D 3D kind of blend, similar to a Tinykin, but this one you kind of almost Paper Mario yourself, go into these 2D planes and battle out different enemies, but then you can pop out of that plane and enter the 3D world of this child's bedroom, and you're going through this action adventure. If you haven't seen the trailer, I highly recommend it. But yeah, it was one of those ones, like a lot of indie titles, just because of, unfortunately, the press around them, doesn't get a lot of attention. This was one that took me by surprise and just oh my god, what is this? It looks amazing. So yeah, Plucky Squire, looking forward to that. I think that was announced around E3 time. Wolf Among Us 2, been looking forward to that, I'm sure a lot of people have for many, many years. I will admit, I loved Wolf Among Us when, thanks to Nolan, shout out to him, he gifted that to me for the PC. Do I remember how things went in that game? No. I think I played that, maybe around the same time with Street Fighter V, with 2015, 2016 Arkham Knight. Yeah, I think I streamed that out in California when I was there. Potentially, maybe even before. It was a great game. It's like a, not choose your adventure, but it's that kind of like narrative storytelling experience where you're in these fables. So, Snow White and those characters, but it's very dark and gritty, and you're a werewolf cop kind of trying to solve these mysteries and murders and crimes that are happening, and based on your choices things will go certain ways. But yeah, this is made by a new studio because the original studio unfortunately went under, but has some of those writers and developers hired onto the project. So excited to see where that goes. I'll probably have to replay through the first one, which isn't a bad thing, but just to kind of know what the fuck is going on. But excited to experience that, and hopefully those people who've been waiting for it forever, hopefully they have a good time with it and enjoy themselves as well. And yeah, that wraps up the GameSpot article for at least the next year releases. You guys let me know in the comment section down below what games are you looking forward to in the next year, or maybe what's even in your backlog, like me, quite a bit that you need to catch up on. So 2023, maybe that's our year. Maybe that's our year we catch up a little bit more with the backlog. But this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me today and chatting and just kind of hanging out. If you guys ever want to catch the podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You're joining the chat like Rainbow and Papa Griff did today. I'd love to have you in on the conversation, but if you can't catch it live, that is a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services. The very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you guys are watching, listening, whatever it may be, if you could help us out, leave a comment, leave a review, give us some feedback, go to the merch store, buy something that looks cool. Any way you can support, it may seem small, but it does go a long way, and just helps us out overall be better, get some more eyes and ears on this, and have a good time. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate you. Hope you guys had fun with today's episode. Not bad. 2 topics, short, sweet. Appreciate you guys hanging out today, giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.